Hello and welcome, this is Ruth and I have two beautiful frame maker die sets to share with you today, both from Tonic Studios, and they both have 11 dies in each of them. So this one is a little square and this is a little rectangle, and you can see, so I should say first, one is called the Make Every Day Count and the other one's called Wishing You Love, and they are absolutely really beautiful. But you can see when you open them up, this is the square one. There are lots and lots of dies there. As I said, 11 different ones, and there are layering dies and whatnot that you could use on cards as well as the little box. But the instructions are in here and it shows you how to make the little box, and then you can put two together by just making a little hinge, and this is the size. There's not a die for this, but it's very easy to cut and score, and that way you'll be able to join two of them together, and that shows you what this looks like in the front here. This has a beautiful thing in the middle saying Make Every Day Count, and this really gorgeous little die in there, but we'll see more of that later. This then is the rectangular one, and it's a similar thing. Shows you here how to make all of these different things, how to layer them up, how to cut the apertures out and all the rest of it. And the panels are really beautiful. Those panels would be absolutely beautiful on cards. Now, sorry, I've still got a bad cough and a sore throat, so this is going to take me a little while longer than normal, so please bear with me. But I'm feeling a bit better from the last video that I did, which now I think you might actually be seeing after this one. I've kind of lost track of how they're coming out. Anyhow, if you haven't already subscribed, I would really love you to do that and hit the notification bell, and that way you'll not miss any of the new videos as they come out. You'll be kept up to date with everything. Don't forget to like and share, and if you have time, leave me a little comment and let me know what you think, because that always really helps me. My affiliate links to everything that I use will be down below in the description of the video as well, and I get a little commission in that, but it doesn't cost you anything extra, so I do appreciate everyone who uses those. Now, I think I'll just get some card out and we'll get straight into die cutting, and I'll be right back. I've set the two die sets onto my big magnetic platform the way I always do. This is the one that folds up like an easel, but I keep it flat on my desk, and then that means when I'm using the dies I just pop them back on, and as you can see they just they're not going to go anywhere once they arrive there, because they won't slide off or anything. But as I set them there, I just thought, oh wow, there are so many different things you can do with this. It's not just frames, it's not just well, it's not even just the dies that are here. Hold on until the end of the video, because I hopefully will get time to pop in a little bit where I have just had an idea where you could see uses for lots of your other die sets that you might have. Loads of them, in fact, because the idea I've had is quite adaptable. So anyhow, at the moment I'm starting off with the square one, so I've taken this large die and I've cut that out twice, and then I have taken the smaller aperture here. I've taken this die then, and I have cut this one through the center of these. So I've cut this out twice, and while that was flat, before I burnished all the score lines, I popped this in and cut that out. So you can center that by putting the other dies in first and then removing them. You can set that one on, and then you can set this one in, and then you can place that one, tape that one down and take the other two off and run it through the machine. If you can't just work it out without that, that's a handier way of doing it. So you'll need to cut that out twice for the double frame that I'm doing, and then it's just a matter of folding and burnishing all of those little score lines, and then you can go ahead and glue these little tabs together. That's the first thing you'll do, is glue all of those together, and just leave these longer glue tabs in the meantime. You really just want to hold those, and anyhow it makes holding those together an awful lot easier if these pieces are left straight up like that until you get this bit done. So just go right the whole way around that and have the four of those tightly glued together at the corners. And then, because I'm using this as a little frame, I'm going to put the back onto this. So I'll just pop a little bit of glue in each of those corners, and that will stabilize the frame. Now, it shows you on the instructions that you can cut out an extra back piece, or an extra one of these pieces, and then trim all these edges off. But if you don't want to do that, you can just cut a piece that's exactly the same size as that, and that is, it's 9.7 centimeters wide, actually square, so that's what we're going to do. That's what I've done, because then it's sort of saved cutting all that extra piece out and wasting some of the card, because I knew I wouldn't need that anymore. And now that should be nice and square, and I'm going to pop that right on there. To get this little frame to go on here, you'll need to take the square die and then that beautiful patterned one. There's no cutting edges on the outside here or the inside, so you'll get yourself a panel like that you could set on, but it would be solid in the center. So you'll just set that die in, and if you're a confident die cutter and know what you're doing, you can tape the three of those together and cut them all out together, and that will give you this piece. If you're not, don't even attempt that. Do them singly, because if your die happens to move even slightly, you'll damage one of the other dies. So I wouldn't attempt that unless you know exactly what you're doing. Anyhow, once you get that piece cut out, you've got this gorgeous piece here, and then as you can see, this was already really what you would call the waste coming out from the center of that. So I have then popped this die into that and cut that out again and left that solid in the center this time, and that then will fit right in there. Then I have taken these two little dies, so I've got this one first of all cut out in white, there it is, and then I have used that one and that one together in the turquoise, and I'm going to glue that on top of that, and then I'll layer that up on here. So I'll go ahead and glue all of that first. Now, you know I don't normally like glue on solid mirror card there, but it won't matter if there's a little mark or a little ripple on the other side there, because this is going up on top. I'm actually going to add that up on a 3D foam pad as well, so it doesn't really matter then if there's any marks on it. Once you've got that one ready, then you can go ahead and make a second one, and both of those then will get joined together. But doesn't that look just beautiful the way it is? That could actually make just a lovely little frame, a little box frame as it is. You could even put a little stand on it, or just make it into a card with an ordinary little flap front on it. It's really, really beautiful. But I've got two of them now, and I'm going to join them together with a little slip, and it will show you in the instructions the size that you need to cut for that. So it's 35 millimeters across by 92 long, and then you just score and fold that down the center and just make sure that it's burnished really, really well. The idea then is that you will glue both sides of this with the mountain fold sitting upwards into the center and attach both of these little boxes together. Now you'll probably notice I've already gone ahead and added some little details on to the other one, and I've used this little die to do that, and I've cut out all the little pieces here, but I haven't put it on here because I wanted to wait until I had the hinge ready, and then I can go ahead and glue this on top of the hinge. So if you're going ahead to do that, don't do it until you have the hinge added. Before I go ahead even to start to decorate this, I didn't really want to put a ribbon on there, although I could have done that and that would have looked nice, but I thought I would like to make sure that that does stay closed. So I've gone ahead and put a little magnet up in there. It's just one of the little Tonic magnets, and it has a little self-adhesive circle on it, and there's one just in behind there, and I'm going to put one in on the other side. I've just checked which way round it should be so that it's going to stick, and I know that it's right below this part, so it should be right here. And I'm just going to pop that in. And now I can go ahead and decorate the front. I can put a panel on the back if I want. I might just leave the back plain, and then inside here I'm going to leave that area so that you can put a photograph or something in there. But you can move this around whichever way you like. In fact, you could put something 3D in there as well, but I'm just going to leave that for a little photograph to go in. But I'm going to decorate this panel up now. To decorate the front of this time, I have cut a panel of the Turkish turquoise, and that measures 9.4 centimeters square. So that's just enough to sit with a tiny edge, that's very tiny, right around that white one. And the white panel then is made using these two dies together, and I've left the center in this time. If you remember, I cut it out with this die in the last instance, but this time I've left that solid. Then I have cut out the white, I've cut this one first of all in the Turkish turquoise. Again, I've got 3D foam pads on the back of that, and then I have cut out the same one like this with this in the center in white, and I'm going to glue that directly on top of here, so that you can just see the turquoise through that. I've got foam pads on the back, and I'm going to layer that on up there. And then I've gone through my die sets, and I've got this beautiful little bow, and I'm not sure you may have that. It's from my memory book Perfect Locks die set. So this is actually a little die set that has all bits and pieces for locking mechanisms on memory books and things. It's lots of little pieces in there, and I just took the two little pieces that make the bow up and put it on there. But I'm only doing that to encourage you to have a look through all of your die sets and see what you come up with, and you might have something totally different, but something that would look very pretty on there. Little flowers and leaves, or a little sentiment, even a little photograph or something that would just be really suitable and really nice for whatever you're using this little frame for. I thought rather than leave this part just plain, although I do like it actually, but rather than leave it just plain, I would add this little mat in, so you can see that I've made it exactly the same as I've made with this one, only I've cut it out in white. And I would like it to sit up a little bit, but just to be sure that I can get that manoeuvred around so that it's in the right place, if I put a 3D foam pad onto that, it's hit or miss whether I actually get it there or not. So I have put some little layers of card together like that. That will raise it up. I'm putting glue on there, and then I can pop that down in, and that will raise it up, but I can stand up now, lean right over the top of that and set it in, and then I'll be able to maneuver it around just for a minute or two and make sure I've got it in the right place. And you can see that lovely little bit of height in it there, but I wouldn't have been able to get that if I had just put a 3D foam pad on. So now I've cut the smaller mat for the top of it just to put a photograph or something on, and that's on a 3D foam pad, but that will go straight in there. In fact, I could have done that before I got the other one in place and it would have been just as easy, but there we are. This time I'm going to make a single frame, but I'm going to put a front on it like a card. So I've already got it all cut out, and I'm just going to show you what I did. So I've made this part in exactly the same way as I did for the first one here, and then I have cut a panel for the back, and I'm going to go ahead and glue that on there. But I've also cut a piece for the front, and that's exactly the same size as this, except that I have added on a little bit here that covers the spine, and that is 1.8 centimeters, and you can see there it's just slightly bigger than the size of the spine here, just slightly. It's a little sliver bigger. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this on here, and then glue this one on here. Now you could actually make one sleeve that fits the whole way around here, but if you happen to not have got this scoring right at all, or this happens to move, it just won't look right. So I think it's much easier just to do it this way. I picked out this ABC Baby Blocks die set to decorate the little card, or the little 3D frame card that I've just made. But please don't think that you've got to limit yourself to just what I'm using. I've really just used this one because, well, number one, because I love it, and number two, because I wanted to sort of jog your mind a little bit to think about some of the other die sets that you might have. This one is full of loads of lovely things that you could use if you need a baby card, or even if you want to just use some of those letters or whatever, because I remember showing you back at the time there's a full alphabet down here, and then there's some big letters here as well, but there's little things that you can use here like pockets and all sorts of things, and I just want to show you what I've done with this because I think it's really cute. So this time I haven't added anything else around here. I've kept it fairly plain, and everything on the front except for the It's a Boy comes from the die set that I'm showing you, the little frame maker, and then I've added It's a Boy from this ABC Baby Blocks die set. But when you open it up, you can see that again I have mixed and matched the two. It's quite hard for me to show you this, just looking straight down at it, but I have added the little pocket on here that you could add something into, and then over here I've put, let me see if I can get at this. When I lay it flat, it just doesn't look the same as what it does when I'm holding it upright to look at it myself. Anyway, you'll see it in the final photographs, but I've added some clouds in behind here, and then I've put 3 little vests onto some twine, and I've just popped a little square of card onto the twine and glued the square of card in at each side there, so that those hang, oh you can't see it really this way, but so that those hang freely like that. And then the little teddy bear here, and I've put a little piece of card in behind where the heart came out and just tucked him in there, and I think that looks really, really lovely. But you could put maybe the baby's name or something in here or whatever, and isn't that just beautiful? But again, it's going to look absolutely gorgeous no matter what you use it with. It's just a beautiful die set, but you can have a look through whatever you've got there and use it for something similar. I've gone ahead with the rectangular one now, and I'm going to show you how to make a little card and a box. So you can see first of all that I have made this up in exactly the same way as I've made the base for the other two, except that there's a slight little difference here. I have taken a tiny little chamfer off each of those corners, and that's because on the box I'm going to just fold those down in and glue them. So it just feels a little bit easier to me if I can actually get some space in between those corners and then go ahead and glue that down. Yeah. Whenever you're putting together the actual corners of the box here too, make sure that they're really tightly folded in at the edges and they meet really tightly. Don't be leaving those loose at all, because the lid is made with the same die set and the same die, so it actually has to fold over the top of that, and the last thing you want is this to be too big and then that won't go over. So what I've done is I've folded those in really tightly, and then when it comes to the lid one, I've left them slightly wider apart, and I'll show you how I've done that too. But just go ahead and make sure all of those little bits are folded over. Now, they do take a little bit of pressure just to hold that down, because I have used Craft Perfect card. Now, Craft Perfect is the sort of umbrella name for all of Tonic's card, and some other things as well, but it covers sort of classic card and smooth card and whatnot, and this is Craft Perfect smooth card, so it's 300 GSM. It's really sturdy, but it's also quite thick to maneuver in little areas like this, but I still prefer using it because it makes a sturdier and stronger little box. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure all of those are well scored down, and this little tool here is fantastic for that. Box made, and this is the lid I'm going to move on to here. So I've cut the same thing out, and before I assembled any of it, I took this die and also the one that fits right inside that, and I've cut that out through the card, so it took this aperture out, but it also left this beautiful detail on here. And now I've got a little bit of acetate, and I'm going to put that down in here. So I'm just going to put some glue along those edges there and along here, and then I'll explain how I added all those pieces together so that everything would hold at the end. There we are. Now, as I said, when I came to do the corners here, you can see I've left them slightly wider apart than I did with the actual box, because this has got to fit down over, and it is made with the same die, so you want to make sure that that's not too tight. And the other thing is, all these areas here that I have folded over, I have actually cut that whole tab off the whole way around here, so you don't have anything to fold over at all. That's completely cut off. I cut all of those off before I made it up. So this last glue tab here, the whole way around, the outside one, has been removed the whole way around there. And now I'm just going to set that aside, and I'll show you how to make a card. I've already gone ahead with this die here, and I'll just take it off there, but I'll show you. So this cuts out a rectangle, and I'm making a top folding rectangle card that's going to fit inside that box, and I can put 3D elements on it now because it's going to have that lovely box to house it all. But I have folded over a piece of card which was wider than this and the full length of an A4 card, and you can see here just where it's hinged up at the top, and I've left my tape on just to remind you that you need very strong tape to do this, not any looser kind of tape or any tape that really is strong, because you don't want this sort of moving about whenever you go to do it. So you can see there where I have set this on, and it meant that the cutting edge is right up at the top of this die. Sometimes it's just down a little bit, but it's right up at the top. So I put that over, just over the top of the fold. So the fold comes down just below that, just like that. And that means that the top edge is attached and doesn't cut into two separate pieces. And when you lift it out, you've got a hinge up there rather than having two separate pieces of card. Taking this rectangle layering die, it's actually the one that I made the card with, and I've cut a layer out and I've just lined the box with that. So I think it's rather nice, even whenever the box is empty, to have it like that. And then I've taken these two dies and I've cut little strips, and I'm putting them around the outside of the lid of the box. Now, don't do what I did and I actually made a little mistake, and I went to line the inside of the box with that. You don't want anything extra on there at all, because that way you're definitely making that thicker and the lid won't fit over the top of it. Now I've used the same die again, and I've cut out this panel, and I've just taken a slight little bit off the top of it to make sure it fits this, and it's going to cover the whole front of the card, and I can glue that in place now. And then I can go ahead with the layer that I took out of here, this piece, and I can pop that up in 3D foam pads on there and then decorate the rest of it. I've taken these two dies in and cut them out in the blue card and attached that straight onto the white there. And then I've taken the inner die and I have that, popped that up on 3D foam pads. So you can see there's actually two sets of 3D foam pads there already. And that is right on top of there. Then I have taken the same little die and I've die cut it out of some blue card. It was just the middle of a sheet. And again, I have taken the same one along with this one in white. And I have glued that right on top. And that is going to go on here and add a little bit more height onto that as well. So it's wishing you love, luck and happiness. And there you are. You can, of course, add whatever sentiment you like, and if you're like me and you're not really a believer in luck, well, you can just wishing you happiness and put that middle piece out, put some flowers across there or something like that, or even add a different sentiment from a different die set, but that is really, really beautiful there. So now we've got the lined box, the beautiful little top fold card with all that dimension on it. You can see now there's lots of dimension there, and then this lovely little lid that's got the pattern around the outside and cut in, and the acetate on there, and there it is. It all goes together so nicely. So just before I go on to doing anything else with this, I just want to tell you that you probably know already, but I'm just going to remind you that of course I've made this one with the square dies, and I've made this one with the square die and this one with the rectangular one, but you can do exactly the same thing with the square die and make a lovely box and make a three-dimensional card, whatever you like with that one. And you can do this with this rectangular one, and the same here as well. You can do it with this. But now I'm going to show you something just a little bit different to use up some of your other sets with it as well. So I'm going to give you a couple of little tips here for being able to use these a lot more widely than you might expect, and for also to use some of your other die sets. So when you look at this right away, you'll see that this is the die that you would be cutting the main aperture out. And you can see that I've done that here and on the card and the box and whatever. And then on this one, you're making that beautiful shape inside by cutting out this lovely shape here and making the aperture with that one. But if you look at these in a bit broader sense, you'll see that this is a kind of a rectangle and this is a kind of a square. So if you look through any of the rest of your die sets that you might already have, and you find a square with a layering die or whatever, that you can cut that out so long as it fits inside this square here and leaves a little border around it, you'll be able to use it, and you'll be able to use the layering dies along with it, and the same here with a rectangle. But you're not even limited to that, because in place of the rectangle in this one, you can also use an oval. So I've just had a little look here, and we've got this box, so I'm just going to hold the back of it up to show you. You could cut the aperture out with this one. Now, I have picked out the Fancy Footwear Frames die set really just because it was close to my desk, but this is a biggish die set, and there's ones that are far, far bigger than this. You don't even have to look at just your small ones, because lots of these die sets have smaller dies in the center of them, but that would be beautiful if that aperture was cut out like that, and then possibly this frame put on top. There's so many different ways to do that. So that's for the oval one. And then I just wanted to show you how you could use a circle on top of the square set. So again, you're not going to be limited to this set that I'm looking at, because it's really just the first one I put my hand on. But this is called the Beehive Layering Floral Frame actually. It's this one here. And I have looked at it, and there's different ways that you could use this as well. So we've got circular die here, And then we've got lots of layering dies that you could put on top of that. So if you wanted to build it up like this, you could do that as well and add different layers on top of that. And the world is your oyster. You could actually just cut out a square of patterned paper or a square of beautiful coloured paper and take this aperture out and put it on top. Oh, just imagine if you went through all of your die sets and picked out some of the ones that you really love that have lovely layers that would fit inside that. It's actually just a lovely little exercise on its own to see what you have that you might have even forgotten about that you could revive and bring back to life again. Anyhow, I have got a square one cut out here somewhere. There it is. And I'm going to cut an aperture out of this that's not got anything to do with this 2 die sets. So I'm going to have a look. It might be this one or it might be a different one, but I'll have a little look and I'll be right back. I thought that was really, really beautiful, and doesn't that just change the whole look of it? And you could do that with whatever die set you have, a combination of several of them, because now I've gone ahead and used an even another different die set. I decided to go for this one, which is a circular bloom layering die set, and I used 2 of the dies together and cut out this panel and put that in on 3D foam pads as well. And obviously I could go ahead and add as many different ones. I could put little corners on here, I could add more depth and whatever in there, and I'm going to think about that one for a moment or two before I finish it, because I really, really like that. But I'm making a little stand for this so that it stands up, and I've cut a piece of card which measures 6 centimeters this way by 10, and then I have folded it, scored and folded it 2 centimeters from the top, and I am just going to put that right on there. And then I have a little stand for my card, my little box. I finished that one off with some beautiful flowers from the Blooming Bouquet die set, and that's from Cyber Week 2023, and they just look really beautiful in there. And then the Hello Beautiful up at the top, which is debossed into some iridescent mirror card. Now that's one tiny example of what you can do with that and how you can adapt any of these to do that with any of your die sets. So I was having a look at this, and I reckoned that with the oval shape and with the longer rectangular one, you could use any of these window dies. Now there's 2 separate wonderful window view die sets. I've made a video with that, but I'm not sure if it's actually published yet or whether that's the next one you're going to see. But bear that in mind, that you can actually die cut the window shape from that as well, and then decorate all of that with curtains and all the rest of it. You could have not the square one obviously, but this longer shaped one here, and even the bell jar. I was having a look at that. You could do that. You cut the bell jar shape into this as well, and not necessarily for a box, but you could do it in this way. So many different ways. My brain has gone into overdrive with that one, and I could actually just go on and on making samples, but I have to stop. I have to stop. So there you are. That is it for right now. And but I would really love to hear if that has fired your imagination, and if there are die sets that you've got that you think you could use for that, because obviously you might have different sets and sets that I haven't used for a while, and that would be lovely as well. So thank you very, very much for watching. I've really enjoyed making these, and I hope you've enjoyed watching, and I hope you've enjoyed the entire video. And I hope it really, really inspires you to get more out of the die sets that you've already got, along with the new ones as well. So all that being said and done, if you have enjoyed it, don't forget to give the video a big thumbs up and leave me a little comment down below. My affiliate links, as always, to the products will be down below in the description of the video. And thank you so much to everybody once again for everything. I really appreciate your company along the way, and I really love to hear from you as well down below the video. So until next time, happy crafting, and thanks very much. Bye bye.